the vision I'll let Mr. Hood, he has it, Andy.
Okay. Cultivating visionary leaders and compassionate citizens to be engaged in the global community.
Thank you. And looks like we have some future leaders here in the room with us today, so we'll get to that shortly. The approval of the agenda in order of business. The agenda was shared with us all over the weekend. Are there any questions relative to the agenda? If none, without objection, we'll pass a motion to approve the agenda by unanimous consent. Is there an objection to doing so? Okay, hearing none, the agenda is hereby approved. We'll go to the consent agenda. We have, is it one item, just approval of minutes? Do we still?
One item.
There's extras for the
There's
personnel
personnel
because
action on here. Isn't it?
What's that?
President Owen,
Yes.
since I believe some of the personnel actions are going to be addressed later in the meeting, should we move the personnel actions off of the consent agenda over to,
There's no action item.
They're
Well, it
different,
would
they're
be-
different.
after the closed session?
So,
They're not.
so I have a question.
They're not
So
the
the
same.
agenda that I just picked up when I walked in does not have personnel actions on it, but the one that we were sent does. So, Mark, do we still have personnel actions or no?
We do,
Okay, so it's the one that we were sent, correct?
yes.
And you're saying you think these are gonna be addressed later?
There's the personnel actions that are, there's a set of personnel actions that's that's on the agenda.
Correct.
Those are, the the regular personnel actions that we always see. In addition to that, there is another set of personnel actions related to the closed session that involve changing salaries for individuals for our independent contract agreements. So I'm wondering if we can pass, but that second personnel actions report also includes the personnel actions that are on the first part. Right? So if we could pass the personnel actions that are there, that are in 4B, and specifically those personnel actions, and then pass the remainder later on, or we could do them all later on.
So the rationale behind that is if the minute you pass the personnel action, then you already passed the other, and we wanted to have that discussion and have you have the ability to speak on that. So that's why we try to separate it just for this particular meeting.
So what essentially we would do then is pull the personnel actions out and make them item 12, and then move communications and adjournment down. Is that what you're thinking? Sound right to you?
Is that right after the closed session or
Right
before
after,
information?
I'm sorry, we can, yeah, it would have been after information, so if you'd like to move them before information, we could do that right after the closed session, which probably is a better nexus, so we'll put them at 11. And everything else falls down, so information is now 12, communications are 13, adjournment is 14. All right, fair enough? All right, good enough. So what we have left on the consent agenda is the approval of minutes. And if, without objection, we'll pass a motion to approve the rest of the consent agenda by unanimous consent. Is there an objection to doing so? Hearing none, the consent agenda is hereby approved, minus the personnel actions. We'll go into our next item, which is presentations and the students of the month, and we've got a whole lot of them, so we're looking forward to seeing this part. Thank you.
Thank you, President Alvin.
Superintendent Abdullah, thank you.
So what we'll do, because little ones have a less, threshold, we'll start with the little ones first to allow parents to let their kids have the wiggles out. So we'll start with Lessinger, then we'll go Pepper, then we'll go Einstein, Key, Opa, then the high school, then Nova.
Good evening, everyone. I am the proud principal of Lessinger, so I'm here to present our Students of the Month. Today, we have the honor of having our Young Fives kinder teacher. She came to present her award to her kindergartners. So come on up, Miss Scott. I'll let you start.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Adrienne Scott, and I am the Young Fives teacher at Lessinger Elementary School, and I am presenting the Student of the Award a month to Adrian Harris. He's right here next to me. Okay, not only does he have my name, so of course he needed to be the Student of the Month, but he also shows great citizenship, and he's concerned about his education. He wants to be the best at everything he does, and he really worked hard to earn this award.
Adrian. There you go, bud.
Okay, so for our second Student of the Month, the teacher was not able to make it this evening, but she sent me a statement. And this is for Kinsley Galladay. And she said, such a joy to have Kinsley in our pre-K program daily. Every morning she greets us with a smile and a hug. She has really come a long way in her short time here. She is a kind friend. She loves to help her classmates in our community, and she is mastering her personal core goals. We can't wait to see what the new period brings. We just want to celebrate her. Let's get it, Kinsley. Come on up, Kinsley. Okay.
Randy, can I get a picture?
Yes. Oh.
Kinsley over here.
You see her?
Yep. Next we got the Pepper Panthers.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. How's everyone doing? I am Emmanuel Haley. I am the proud principal of Dr. James N. Pepper Elementary School. And tonight we are here to honor two of Pepper's finest students. Our first selection is a young man, and let me tell you about this guy. So, last month, I was here in a meeting in the board office, and phone started blowing up. Superintendent's phone was blowing up. 911 call was placed. And somehow Pepper was mentioned. It was at the high school, and we actually had some third graders at the planetarium. So, what happened was we had a particular student who was playing in one of the displays. There was some kinetic sand, and he had an allergic reaction to it. So he just started swelling up everywhere he touched, right? So I get over there. 911 had been called. Nurse Long, the district nurse, was over there. His big sister, where big sister at? Yeah, big sister was in the office, and everybody, we was all around this little guy right here, right? He was just like that, right? And he was just, his face was just, and they had to do the EpiPen and everything. And we had mom on the phone, and she was doing what mom does. Dad was there, he was kind of cool, but, you know, mom was like, hey, right? And so long story short, throughout the whole ordeal, he had to go to Beaumont Hospital and all of that stuff. Anthony, he was just cool. It was like, what is all the fuss about? Right? And so for me, what I saw in that moment of time, I saw a future leader, right? Because when all the chaos was going on around this young man, he was like looking at everybody like, what the problem is, y'all? So I would like to introduce our first student of the month, and that is Mr. Anthony Whitaker. Right, over here, man, over here. See, you got it. Yeah. Okay. Hold this, so everybody can see. Hold it up. All right. Mr. Anthony Whitaker. Oh, man. All right. My next student, Jayla. Come on up here, Jayla. So we have Miss Jayla Hardy, and so what made Jayla stand out head and shoulders above everyone else was the fact that there was one of her classmates, Jayla's in the 5th grade, right? So Jayla has a classmate who is not very popular because of, how could I say, some of the decisions that he make, right? And so a lot of kids don't really want to have nothing to do with him, right? But Jayla here takes the young man and provides wise counsel. All right. Say, look here, bro, this is what you got to do. Right? And I witnessed this, and it blew me away because Jayla is such an unassuming person. But again, when you talk about what it takes to be a leader, right? A scholar and a high achiever at the Dr. James N. Pepper Elementary School, 24301 Church Street, right down the street from David H. Shepherd Park. Okay? I laid the gauntlet down yesterday. So anyway, Jayla was just a beacon of light in that young man's life. He, to this day, little fella's still clueless, but the superstar is still shining on. Right. Jayla Hardy.
Beautiful.
Good evening. I was out in the hallway. It's packed in here, and I was letting other people be in here. So I am the aesthetic principal of Einstein Elementary School. All through the month of November, we have made announcements every single day at Einstein about it's our month of giving thanks, thankfulness, and gratitude. And our quote for our family newsletter this week was, "Feeling gratitude without giving it is like wrapping a present without giving it. So I am so thankful, board, for this opportunity to recognize our students, for our teachers to be able to say thank you to students that make Einstein a place where we all shine. We shine at Einstein, so thank you so much. And I'm going to call up our very wonderful, one of our fourth grade teachers, Miss Marla White. She's going to talk about our first student of the month, Darnell Wingate.
Here, Darnell. I'm short, so. Now, why did I choose Darnell? He is very smart, very kind. He is a leader. He cheers everybody on when they get an answer right in a math problem and they're afraid to answer. He's always the first to cheer them on. He is not only a straight A student, he is a great big brother. He is extremely athletic. Everything he does is honestly great. He helps everybody, and he is going to be a valedictorian one day. So, always smile.
You want to stand over here for a present or a picture?
Here, go that way.
All right.
Our second fourth grade teacher, Miss Rachel Mills, was unable to be here today because she recently broke her fibula, and she's been like a trooper around on her crutches in school every single day. So thank you, Miss Mills, for being there at school and then taking time to rest at home so you can be here tomorrow. So I'm going to call up Anila McGee. She here? Okay, I don't see her, but I'm going to read what Miss Mills wrote for her. She wrote a lot, so just bear with me. In life, the people we all most enjoy being near are those who radiate joy wherever they are. One of the fourth grade November students of the month is definitely this person. Each morning and afternoon, she greets others with a smile and kind words. She is full of enthusiasm for everything we do and always has a super positive attitude. She is a true joy and ray of sunshine. She is very kind to others, is always smiling, and passes her happiness on to all of her classmates and teachers. In class, she is bubbly and excited to learn. Her passion for learning is contagious. She doesn't draw attention to herself, but does what needs to be done. She actively participates in class and does a nice job on her work without needing praise or attention. In addition to her positive attitude and big heart, selfless and caring and hardworking are additional traits to describe what a great student she is. She consistently puts the best interest of others ahead of her own. She is a friend to all and offers a helping hand to any student or teacher in need. The fourth grade teachers believe every class needs a student just like her, and that is our reason for selecting Anila McGee for Student of the Month. So, even though she's not here, we celebrate her. Thank you.
Sorry, saving the best for last.
Good evening to the Board of Education, to our illustrious superintendent and his cabinet, and to all of our families this evening. It is so beautiful to see all of your beautiful faces in the board office today to celebrate our children. I was about to say man, but I'm not supposed to say that here. My name is Shana Murphy, and I am the proud principal. Where Mr. Haley go? Francis Scott. Key Elementary School. All right, at 23400 Jerome Street. Okay. So we are ecstatic to be here today to present our children before our board and to our cabinet and to our families for being Student of the Month for this month of October. And so I would like to call up our first student for this month and their teacher. Calling up Miss Abrin, who's one of our new first grade teachers at Key Elementary, who has been a great addition to our team at 23400 Jerome Street. Okay. off Rosemary. All right, so she's going to give our first award to Miss Riley Brown, who's our student of the month.
Miss Riley Brown is a leader and shows great citizenship. She can constantly be found doing random acts of kindness and helping other people out. She always has a positive attitude, works hard, and treats everybody the way she would like to be treated, respectfully. Riley has a strong sense of character. She is kind, honest, and a good listener. I'm proud to say that Riley is my student.
She posted for her dad. There you go. All right, and our final student of the month for the month of October, we choose students at Key Elementary for exemplifying our key pride. Pride is our acronym for our core values of positivity, respect, integrity, diversity, and excellence. And our other student who earned the student of the month this month for October is Miss Colette Treese. I don't see her. All right, I don't see Miss Treese, but we would like to celebrate third grade student, Mr. Jaden Gatewood. Jaden has been a student at Key Elementary, and his teacher, Miss Treese, nominated him for Student of the Month for the month of October. Jaden is very helpful and kind, and also a great big brother to his little sisters back there who appreciate him every day. He does all of his work, and he's just a bright light of positivity at Key Elementary, and that was our core value for the month of October. So we want to celebrate Jaden Gabriel for being a bright light of positivity at Key Elementary. Congratulations, Swan. Come on.
Big handsome smile.
All right.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I am the proud principal, Doug Island of Oak Park Preparatory Academy. I will save you on the address. I have the pleasure of honoring two of our 7th grade students this evening. Throughout the month of October, our character trait at OPA has been kindness, and these two have been displaying kindness throughout the month of October. Our first student, Ritaj Ali Hamad. Her 7th grade teachers had to say about her that she models kindness by treating others in positive ways. She is kind to teachers in many ways, and her politeness and hard work stand out. Ritaj is a positive member of our classes, and we are happy to have her on our learning team. That's tough, right?
All right.
Our next student is dressed like $1,000,000 today, and I'm feeling that fit. Our next 7th grade student, Mr. Michael Wilborn. Michael's teachers had to say this about him, that Michael strives every day to be focused, to be a focused student. His teachers can count on him to be kind to adults in his words and in his actions. Michael tries to help his peers by modeling how to be kind and an attentive learner. Mr. Michael Wilborn. That's making me nervous.
Dress for success. There you go.
Oak Park High School.
Good evening. I'm Sherry Buxtiger. I am the proudest principal of Oak Park High School, and we were having a debate out there who the tugboat is. So apparently, we were going before Nova. And I'm also going to introduce our assistant principal. This is Miss Serena Alderson. Proud assistant. Oak Park High School. We have two students who are honoring tonight, so I will go first with Miss Riley Coleman. Is Riley in the audience? All right, I'll still go. Riley, she's one of our 9th grade students, and she is a super engaged student. Her teacher said that she never hesitates to ask questions, applies herself to the task at hand, and is committed to the excellence in her quality of work. Her attendance is impeccable. She has maintained straight A's with all of her classworks and assessments, demonstrates curiosity, and has a growth mindset. She is a joy to have as a student. I have the honor of representing this for Jamal Guilford. Jamal? They didn't make it. That's okay. Jamal is consistently on time to class and does not hesitate to get started on his work. He never complains or gives up. He shows perseverance when working through difficult tasks. He is also well behaved, demonstrating our core values of respect and integrity. The teacher believes that he deserves to be recognized for his commitment to himself and his academic growth. So we are honored to represent Jamal Guilford. Mr. Falk.
Gotta give yourself a Mac.
Provided by the school.
Yeah, and doing it.
Well, hello, everyone. Hello. My name is Derek Falk, and I am the principal of the Nova Academy. I look at us as the tugboat of the district. When you get stuck, then you call me. So today, I have one of my fine instructors, fine instructor, that helps the students get through. And he's going to introduce two of the finest students in Oak Park. First of all, Mr. Madison, come on forward. Mr. Madison is going to talk about the greatness of Ms. Coates first.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Zachary Madison. I am a social studies teacher at Nova Oak Park, and I have the pleasure tonight to announce two students that were selected as Student of the Month. Our first one is Ms. Coates. I'd like to say that our students have been selected collectively by our entire staff. And so with that being said, we really put a lot of thought into this as a group, as all of our teachers together, on who really brings something to Nova. Because at Nova, it takes a lot to be successful. When these kids come to Nova, they know they have a task. They know they have a job. And it's not easy to be successful every day. And for me to be here to present these two students, they exemplify that perseverance, that dedication, that work ethic that it truly takes to be successful at Nova. And I greatly, greatly am honored to announce these two students, Ms. Coates, and I'll announce Mr. Keese in just a second. So Ms. Coates, Ms. Coates, first of all, the smile is infectious. You see it every day she walks in the room. It just makes you feel good. You can be having a rough day, a rough morning, and she walks in, and it's not just me, it's the other students. She just has that aura about her that puts everybody in that positive mood that we need at Nova. She kind of sets that positive environment, that positive tone in the classroom. And it really means a lot, not just to me, but to the other students. It's felt. And besides that, I can't tell you, she keeps everyone on task and on track, including myself as a teacher, which I appreciate, because there's days I'm like, what did we do yesterday? And I know I can look to Miss Coates and she's like, yo, Mr. Madison, we did this and this and this. I'm like, okay. So it's nice to have her in that. Besides that, just her character, who she is as a person. It says a lot about her family and her values and her morals and where she comes from. And we truly appreciate that as teachers at Nova. She's just at the heart a very good person. So.
You don't want to.
All right. That second fine student is about 6'4", 6'5". He on his way up here right now. Bring yourself on up here. This is my boy right here.
This is Mr. Marquise Hill, as we know, calling him affectionately Big Keese. As you can tell, Mr. Keese has a presence in the classroom. And that presence, again, sets the tone. He is the person where if people are being negative, he's the one that steps up and says, not today, not here, that's not what we're about. We're about credits, we're about positivity, we're about staying on track. That's this guy. This is the guy. And we appreciate that again. It's not just as teachers, but you see it in the students who are around him. Students gravitate to Keese. They gravitate to him because he's a positive force within the classroom. And it goes beyond the classroom. He's a positive force in the hallways. And that really means a lot to us, again, as teachers, and again, as the students, because he sets that tone. He sets what the example should be for students at Nova, and that is coming to school. It doesn't matter what happened that day or that morning, but we have a mission, we have a task, and we're going to do it the best way we can with a positive attitude. And that, again, means a lot. The work ethic, the drive, the commitment, and quite honestly, the common sense. That's one thing we all said, teachers across the board. If there is a voice of reason in the classroom, when there's an argument about who the best NBA player is, it is Marquise to go, seriously, it's opinion. Okay, it's enough. And we appreciate that because then we don't have to, because I know nothing about that. So I'm no good at that. So again, we appreciate that. So thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
I just want to further say I really appreciate Mr. Madison coming out. Mr. Madison lives like another 5 counties away. I don't even know. He needs to fill up twice. So I really appreciate him coming back down. And thank you again. All right. Good job.
Okay, so I'm sure many of you want to stay throughout this whole meeting and hear all of our business. And we're more than happy to have you all stay. But in case you don't want to stay, we're going to give you about 5 minutes to wrap up your things and head out. So feel free.
Good job.
7 reports, and we have one this evening for our superintendent. Mr. Abdullah, you have the floor.
Thank you, President Alvin. So I honestly wish I could take credit for what you just witnessed, but honestly, it's the leadership in the buildings, and it just trickles down. So the building admins and their leadership. The other day I told them, I've never been in a group that exceptional as the principals. They're phenomenal. They are rock stars. I do want to address one student that was not mentioned, and I am going to address it on the 28th, but I want to read you a little bit about Nona Waldron, okay? So I'm not sure if you follow us on, you okay?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So I don't know if you follow us on our social media, but this girl is a superstar. And just being in her presence, you're in awe. I walked in and she walked up to, she knew who I was. I'm like, how do you know who I was? She said, Mr. Abdullah, how are you? So let me tell you a little bit about it, about Nona, because she's the total package. She is the total package. She's not a student athlete. She is the total package. So Nona was one of the nation's top hurdlers who has committed to continue her track and field at University of South California. Full ride.
Nice.
Full ride. She also received offers for University of Georgia, University of Florida, Baylor, and University of Miami. Nona signed her national letter of intent earlier this week, or last week, and pledged to join the Trojans, who are led by the coaching staff Quincy Watts and Joanne Hayes. Nona is an outstanding student who boasts a 4.13 GPA. If she's not going to be the valedictorian, she'll be next in line. I mean, that's how fierce this girl is. She's about winning in whatever she does. And if you had a chance just to see her and her family, and she's a product of Oak Park. And I'm like, man, it made our little, state championship in the 90s look like a joke because it was a whole group effort. But it was amazing. It just reminds me of, all of this reminds me of what makes education in Oak Park great. They exemplify Oak Park students. And sometimes we forget and we lose sight of that because you have one-offs. But these are also one-offs. It's just what we choose to believe in. So I wanted to, and you will see her on the 28th here with a presentation and more. But I couldn't let it go without mentioning it. Also, we want parents to know, we have, social media continues to be a hurdle amongst a lot of schools. And so we want parents to be vigilant, to supervise and oversee. We have partnered with Oak Park Police Department where they come out and do assemblies to inform students and parents. I'm going to meet with the principals to come up with a parental meeting to discuss some of the do's and don'ts with social media, because it's crucial. We cannot just give devices to our kids and say go. They're dangerous, and kids tend to get themselves in trouble. And so we just want parents, if they're watching, to stay on top of things and to educate, and we're going to do our part to continue to educate. You're going to see later on, and we're going to discuss this, about social emotional learning. And if you notice, a lot of the principals, a lot of the schools are already implementing that about addressing the whole child. Not just academics, not just student athletes, but actually addressing the whole child. And you can see it. They're checking each other. They're talking to one another about proper do's and don'ts. And this is from Early Childhood Center all the way to Nova, and it's crucial. And so it's not enough what we're doing. It's a start, but we're gonna see that during the informational meeting, about, the need for social emotional, programming and resources. We're also gonna discuss in the informational meeting, the need for, resource officers. Again, my approach is prevent, right? It's better to prevent and prepare than repent and repair. So we're addressing everything as preventive measures, educating, informing, small groups, and all of that is in the form of resource officers. So I'm moving away from the perception of what a resource officer is with a gun and a taser and school uniform, and more of being in touch with the community, being in touch with the student body, being in touch with different resources, knowing if someone's struggling with mental health crisis, informing an administration. We are not moving away from the discipline piece of it being an administration duty, but we need a holistic approach on addressing mental health crisis, and when someone is in need and they are acting out as a form of crisis, that we identify that. And so I know the title might sound like school resource officer's gun, but there's a lot of, we're forgetting the resource part of the whole thing. And we're looking at it again as a preventive measure, the whole approach, from social emotional to mental health to resources in the schools. And if you notice, I'm diverting resources from central office more to the student level, and directing resources and being intentional with how we apply every dollar to support the students. And we'll talk about that later on. But, yes.
As, for you parents who want to know how to go on the internet and turn your computer, your kids' telephone and their, whatever you call it.
iPads.
You can turn them off and you can turn them on. You can set the time for them to come on and you can set the time for them to go off. You go to Google Family and you put in their phone number and their names. And you set the time when you want to start it, and you set the time when you want to shut it off. And it works, because my two grandkids, it works.
And then the final thing, I just want to remind the board that some of us have signed up for the November 16th Cranbrook dinner and workshop, and that's at 6 p.m. I believe Trustee Smith, I believe Vice President Hoyda, myself, so far, and it's at Cranbrook, providing dinner and some training and some workshops, and we'll return and report. And that is my report, President Alvin.
Thank you. Much appreciated. Any questions for Superintendent Abdulahad based on what he reported?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Abdulahad. I know that there was a communication, or it was mentioned in regards to the upcoming Title I meeting. Do we have an actual time for that as of yet? I know there's a date already set, a tentative date. Do we have a time as of yet?
We do. So based on surveys from last year and upcoming surveys coming out, one thing we realize is we want to offer multiple times for our families.
Okay.
So at the district level, that is to meet compliance. We wanted it also to be closer to the holiday season. So
Okay.
we moved it to December 8th. We want more families to, to be in. We didn't want to compete with parent-teacher conference, curriculum night, and all that. So the district level one is during the day, and it's happening from 1:15 to 2:45. And it's gonna be at Nova, and we're gonna have resources, but then each building will also have evening, morning, different sessions available. So the same information that was shared at the district meeting can also be shared at that same meeting for parents, at all of the different buildings where we have Title I services.
Okay, thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
Okay.
Okay, that's it.
Thank you. Anything else? Good. All right, we've come to the part of the meeting where the public has an opportunity to address the full board if it desires to do so. Public participation is one-way communication in which members of the public may address the board with the understanding that the board will not be able to respond. Trustee Smith, would you please provide the public comment?
Yes. Because the Oak Park Board of Education values public meetings, not just meetings of public, we welcome public comment on school issues. Speakers are asked to express themselves in a civil manner with due process for the dignity and privacy of others who may be affected by public comment. The public comment portion of the meeting cannot be used to make personal attacks against a school board member or a school district employee that disrupts the order of the meeting and is totally unrelated to the manner in which the member or employee performs his or her duties. Speakers should be aware if the statements violate the rights of others under the law of defamation or invasion of privacy. Such comments may result in legal liability. Most comments can be concisely stated in 3 minutes, and the board respectfully asks that comments remain focused on the topic or issue and not be directed at specific personnel or board members.
Thank you, Trustee Smith. Are there any members of the public who would like to address the board? Any members of the public at all who would like to address the board?
She's gonna stay and listen to everything.
Hearing and seeing none, we will move to the next item. We will go into our closed session, but need a motion to do so. Is there a motion to go into closed session pursuant to Section 8C of the Open Meetings Act for the purposes of holding strategy negotiation session connected with a collective bargaining agreement?
I make a motion to go into closed session.
Second.
Okay, a motion's been made and seconded. Are there any questions on that motion? Hearing none, let's do a roll call. Ms. Greer, could you please call the roll?
Clark,
Here.
Copeland,
Yes,
Yes.
it's a yes.
Alvin.
Sorry, I'm sorry. Yes. Sorry, yes.
Alvin,
Yes.
Hoda,
Yes.
Lunkins,
Yes.
and Smith.
Yes.
Okay. We will now go into closed session. The time is 7:50, so and it was, Clark that had the second. Okay, we're back now in open session, so 8:11. And we will go into, what is next, what I have? Personnel action, so is there a motion to approve the personnel actions? And then we will do this other motion afterwards. Trustee Hoyt.
I move to amend the agenda and accept the administration's recommendations on approval of the Association of Oak Park School Administrator contracts.
You want to amend the agenda to do it?
We're adding a new action item?
We should have did that when we moved to personnel action report.
Yeah, we
It's
should
all
have
in there.
made
It's all
that.
Well, we were,
It's all
again,
in
this
there.
is in response, after having discussion, closed session, the board is,
You're asking to add so first we have to take these separately. You want to add an item to the agenda at this point?
yes,
Okay, what do you want to add?
to accept the administration recommendations on approval of the AOPSA contract.
All right, and we will move that, actually to item 11, and we'll move personnel actions now to 12.
Well, actually, are we gonna add another, so it would be approval of the AOPSA contract, and then a second item would be approval of the independent contracts?
We're taking those separately?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so then we will take item 11 will be Association of
AOPSA, isn't it?
Oak Park School Administrators. Item 12, approval of independent contracts. Is that all of them, or do we still have to go do the, does that encompass all of these that we have
Yes.
on here?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, so then 13 will be, nope, they're taking, the personnel is included in these, so 13 will be information, 14 will be board administration communications, 15 will be adjournment. All right, there's a motion to amend the agenda to add approval of Association of Oak Park School Administrators contracts and approval of independent contracts. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is made by Hoyt, seconded by Smith. Ms. Greer, please call the roll and then change the agenda.
Clark,
Yes.
Copeland,
Yes.
Elvin,
Yes.
Hoda,
Yes.
Lunkins,
Yes.
and Smith.
Yes.
Okay, the motion passes. We are now at item 11, which is the approval of Oak Park School Administrators contracts. Is there a motion to approve these contracts? Trustee Hoyt.
I move that the board approves the Association of Oak Park School Administrators contract as provided in the board book.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Hoyt, seconded by Lunkins. Any question on that motion? Ms. Greer, please call the roll.
Smith,
Yes.
Lunkins,
Yes.
Hoda,
Yes.
Elvin,
Yes.
Copeland,
Yes.
and Clark.
Yes.
Okay, the motion passes. We are now at 12, approval of independent contracts. Is there a motion to approve those? Trustee Hoyt.
Move that the Oak Park Board of Education approves of the independent contracts provided to the board.
Second.
Motion made by Hoyt, seconded by Lunkins. Is there a question on that motion? Hearing none, Ms. Greer, please call the roll.
Hoda,
Yes.
Lunkins,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Elvin,
Yes.
Copeland,
Yes.
and Clark.
Yes.
Okay, good, thank you. We're at item 13, which is information items. And we are at item 13A, approval of 4 resource officers. Superintendent Abdullah, you have the floor.
Thank you, President Elvin. So in your board packet, I know it says 0 eyes, but we try to give you all the information. With resource officers, again, our approach is preventive measures. It is not what you would see where a police officer walks around with a gun and taser. And we based it on the recommendation from the security assessment that you did, where Previous Superintendent Hitchcock had discussed the school resource officers with Oak Park Police Department, and basically the police department referenced that unless we have this many, then our police officers are at a handicap. After I met several times with our team and the chief of police, and with this new grant that's available that we applied for, it's an easy response for us that we would directly hire our school resource officers. We applied for a grant totaling $1.5 million over 4 years. We're pretty confident that we will get awarded that grant. And in that grant, what we want to do is offer a salary of $70,000 plus benefits to direct hire to 4 resource officers. It's a matching funds grant, but we have no problem with that to match it is a matching grant fund, correct? Yep, it's a matching fund grant. But the portion of the grant is $1.5 million. And so it's an easy fit. We get to control the narrative with our resource officers. We get to educate and train them how we want our students to be approached and coached. Where when you have somebody from the outside or a police department, they have their training. Here, these are Oak Park employees, and they will address the students in the way that we deem as a way not to demean, not to demoralize, but more of mentorship and coaching and all of that. Is it a fix-all? Absolutely not, but we're trying to approach the entire package, everything. We're trying to address everything, and this is a great opportunity. It doesn't touch your general fund. This is basically like a rebate that we apply for, and we've been really lucky. Everything that we're going to discuss today is a total of $2.3 million that we applied for. Some of the money we already got awarded. Some of the money we're guaranteed. All you have to do is apply and you get it. And I can't pass up free money. We can't pass up free money. And so we're really good. Our team's really good at finding ways to make things work for us in a way where we could continue to build our fund balance. So that's the resource officers. Again, a preventive and restorative approach. So is there any questions on that?
Trustee Hood.
So let's start with, what if we don't get we're expecting to
Yeah.
get the grant. What happens if we don't?
We're not gonna, so we're seeking approval, but we're not gonna post until we get correspondence saying you've been awarded.
Okay.
So, but what we wanna do is we wanna line up all our ducks in a row. We can't wait for the planning stages until we get awarded. So part of the planning stages is seeking approval, then getting job descriptions written, getting training lined up, so the minute we get awarded, we're ready, hitting the ground running. So all of this, if we don't get awarded, it will not. And if you see it before you, it's because it actually was awarded, and I'll let you know in my weekly update.
And we've had a lot of trouble finding security officers. We've had as you mentioned, the police department has told us they're having trouble finding public safety officers. Where do we expect that we're going to be able to find people to fill these roles?
So the problem is your foundation is your starting salary is $15.
And security.
In security. So
Not across the street, though.
Right, but what I'm saying is, in security, so even now, we're struggling to find security, but if you could work at Taco Bell for $20 an hour, or you could be in danger of possibly getting hurt trying to break up a fight or trying to do something, you know, your base is off. $15 is off who you're gonna get. You're not gonna get quality for that, because quality costs money.
But that's my question, is are we going to get quality for $70,000 plus benefits?
Yeah.
I mean, to go from, yes, I think at 70,000 and it's 70,000 is honest wage.
Yeah, you will.
Because benefits alone, so you gotta understand, benefits cost us 30,000. So all in, it might be $121,000. They might realize 70,000 salary, but we're paying their pension, we're paying healthcare benefits, and they're actually part of the Oak Park family, where they feel like, hey, I'm part of the group. I don't have to, explore other career options, or a lot of our security right now are working multiple jobs. They're doing this and doing something at night. I'm not saying any of them would move to resource, because the threshold to be a resource officer is gonna be a lot greater than just anybody. It requires some training, some.
So the resource officers are gonna be layered on top of the existing security?
Yes, they're gonna be the pillars. So we have the director, which is Derek Falk, then we have the pillars. So you got 4 pillars, and then we got security.
And what are the in terms of the way the job description is gonna be written, what are the experiences that we're gonna be looking for people to be coming into these jobs?
So some retired police officers, again, we have to get with the team, but I would say some retired police officers. But again, I would have to look at their record of training. And I would definitely want mental health training on the officers, and not all officers have mental health crisis training. Again, if you know, that's a different level of training on de-escalation. And sometimes if someone doesn't have that, they want to come in and they escalate the situation and make it worse instead of de-escalating. And it's all about the person on the other side of the situation who's witnessing the mental health crisis occurring.
Quick question. I believe this is for 4 years.
Yes.
Right? So what happens in year 5?
I retire. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, did I say that out loud?
We had the microphones and everything back on.
Was that out loud? Okay. So again, I think the school state aid, mental health is here to stay, and school resources and security is here to stay, because the 2 biggest hurdles now in schools are not education. It's dealing with mental health crisis. We deal with that every day. Every day we are dealing with mental health crisis, and we need more resources, but not just anybody. You need people that are trained in dealing with that. So in 4 years, hopefully that continues, but probably in 2 years we'll reassess, reevaluate, and see what we could absorb in-house and what other grants are available. But I mean, I've been doing this for, this is my 5th year, and I've always managed to find resources that does not impact your general fund.
All right. Any questions still around this?
I just have a comment.
Trustee Smith.
Yeah, so, ironically, just the other day, I have one of my fraternity brothers who's a DPD officer, and he's been assigned to a new task force.
Always back to the keys. I'm sorry, go ahead.
So what happens, he was excited because basically we were talking about he has a new title now, it's basically a mental health officer.
Yeah.
And he was talking about, hey man, I can talk somebody down from this position, that's in this crisis scenario, and he was just like really proud about that. So it seems like that seems to be one of the common topics in regards to law enforcement and handling, society now. So, I'm all on board,
See, my thing is, officers forget that kids are kids. They forget that a 13 or 14-year-old is still a 14-year-old. They might put on this facade like they're hard. They're still a kid.
Right.
And so, and they're in survival mode, right? They're in their fight or flight mode. And so unless you are trained in de-escalating, then you're going to, typically, we want to, someone's challenging my authority, I have to show them who's the boss, and then it just goes downhill after that.
Right.
But
Trustee Hoyt.
We as parents feel that way.
Trustee.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, there's a mental health problem with, sometimes even with the parent. And the parent is not even aware that they have that problem. But with the parent and the kid, something can be done for both of them. And not just one individual to say, well, hey, I've got a mental problem, I need to find somebody to take care of it. If you go to the school and find out who to talk to, when to talk to, that helps.
Trustee Hood.
The concern that I have in terms of how, and I want to learn more about how we're going to, because what I'm hearing is exactly the right thing, and I want to learn more about how we're going to go about that, because the mindset of a law enforcement officer who's coming into a situation and is leaving the situation in a defined amount of time is very different from a resource officer who is in a school developing relationships, being with students over years and addressing, so it's not just about de-escalation of this incident, which is absolutely important. It's not just about having the training in restorative practices so they know the policies and procedures to take when this happens, but it's a little bit of a different mindset and culture. And what I wonder about is someone who, let's say a retired police officer, who spent their career keeping people safe in incidental moments, how does that experience and mindset translate into the work that we're looking to have done? And that's what I want to understand more about, because like you said, it's a different way, and this is what I do. The mental health, you're right, we're getting requests all the time to train police officers in mental health crisis, and I do it. But it's a different way of thinking, and it should be, because when someone's responding to a high risk, dangerous situation, they need to have a very different mindset than the types of things that our teachers or our social workers are dealing with. And so finding that right mix, I think, is going to be key to making sure that this goes in one direction and not the other direction.
I think it needs, this is a long vision approach, because we have to educate, and we really have to mold the resource officers into what we believe is the right resource officer mindset and mentality and training and resources. Luckily, we have tons of resources available, but we can't wait, because again, the 4 years, we could use 4 years worth of training, but it has to start at one point. I know it takes, some people either got it or don't, right? So some people have it or don't, but we need to create a system approach instead of just guessing whether someone has it or not. We lay out the groundwork for them. So I share in your.
And is there, where are they going to go? Are they going to be located at specific schools? Do we have that?
So we're looking at middle and high school, because our approach for lower L's is the social emotional and the conditioning and getting the kids being able to communicate. At the high school level, there's a lot of layers of onions over the years of what a kid has to struggle or whatever, COVID, that maybe a first grader doesn't necessarily have. So we have to approach it two different ways. Conditioning, preparation in the lower L's, and part of preventive work, restorative practice, and informing student population in a smaller setting. And so again, we haven't gotten that far.
Okay.
We haven't, no, the resource officers would not be in the lower L. The lower L's approach is social emotional resource teacher, hero circle. We're gonna talk about two senseis where they actually come in and work with students in middle and lower L, because they're more sponges. They're more apt to let it out. They don't have to worry about my peers looking at me. Like if you introduce yoga in the lower L, you might get more cooperation than introducing yoga with seniors, right? And so we're trying to approach, things differently.
Okay. two things. Thing one is, well, we saw how important this is in the news just today.
Yes.
Yep.
If you were watching the news in Detroit.
Yep.
The other, and it's
Brendo, right?
Yeah, Fernando.
I was thinking about Detroit,
Yeah.
where
Mental,
there was
Yes.
an issue with DPD. Like
Yeah.
you said, you trained.
Yep.
And then the other thing is, you said you wanted to hear more about something. Is that before you approve it, or you? I mean, I'm trying to gauge if you're asking for them to give you more information.
I would like to see more information about how we construct those positions before I'm ready to approve it. Because there is a lot of data out there about how resource officers can go the wrong way. And so I want to understand more about that for myself before I'm ready to.
So, Trustee Hood, Trustee Corcoran.
I just, sorry to interrupt,
Not interrupting, you got the floor.
but I want us to just think here. We are in a crisis right now. And we are losing children, adults, to mental health. We are being given by a grant that's already been approved, and knowing what we're going through, this grant is gonna pass. I call the question to go ahead and take a vote on this. I hear,
Just move.
I move to,
I move for the approval for.
to put more in there.
Oh, you want to say something more before you do it?
That's all I do. I'm gonna move to approve, the 4 resource officers.
To be paid.
Oh, excuse me, to be paid $75,000.
No, with grant, let me to help you. With
Oh,
grant
the-
funds estimated at 70,000 per year with benefits totaling to $130,455 per SRO per year.
Yes, with benefits, yes, totaling $130,455 per SRO per year, yes.
Is there a second?
Yeah, second.
Motion is made by Corcoran, seconded by Lunkins. Any questions on that motion? Hearing none, Ms. Greer, please call the roll.
Corcoran,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Alvin,
Yes.
Hoda,
No.
Lunkins,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Okay, the motion passes. We will go to item 13B, approval of vape detectors at Oak Park High School. Mr. Abdullah.
Yep, so vapes are still a struggle. And unless we catch the student, so let me preface this by saying, I don't believe in just arbitrarily searching kids, because it does more harm than good, even if they're vaping. The whole person coming down, searching them and all this, I have a problem with that personally and ethically. I have a problem with that. But it's still a problem. So vapes are still a problem. So to install vape detectors, it's typically where the students are using it in the bathroom. But unless we catch them right there and then because of the vaporizer, all you smell is like a fruity odor or something. So these are in every bathroom, mostly high school, but middle school is an issue. And really, it sounds an alarm. So it acts as a deterrent, but also calls an alarm out saying that this has been detected. And it's a lot easier for us to respond to that than to say, hey, there's 5 kids in here, I don't know who had it, or we gotta search them all. And now I can't explain it. I don't know. I guess the father in me has a problem with my kid just being searched. It's not a weapon, and so I don't agree with that searching thing with a vape thing. So
I have no issue with vape detectors, but here's my question. I don't know how that changes the issue. So if you have 5 kids in the bathroom and the alarm sounds, you know, okay, you catch them in there, but then who did it?
So the alarm is not loud like a fire alarm.
Okay.
So the alarm is not it notifies us, to respond. So the kids would catch them off guard.
Right.
So typically we'll catch the one student, you're still doing it, because they can't tell. They can't tell, it looks like it might look like something like this, you can't tell, but it sends out a signal to us, and then it causes us to respond.
Trustee Clark?
I have no objection as far as the vape detector is concerned, but some vapes, the only reason I know is because my aunt vapes, and for some vapes, they don't have a smell, some of them do.
Yeah.
So how sensitive is this detector to be able to tell that it is vaping? Like, what if you have like a fruity perfume or something?
No,
else
I
that's
think,
fruity?
I think it has something to do with either the THC or the CBD or the nicotine in there.
Okay.
But it does, it's different than you just having perfume or spraying on cologne in the bathroom because you're trying to smell good for somebody.
Okay, that was my question.
Trustee Smith?
What funds were we using again for this?
This is grant funds, grant funds. The more we could pull away from general fund, the more we could grow our general fund.
All right.
Okay. Anything else on 11B? I mean, sorry, 13B.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion.
Okay, go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion.
I
move, excuse me. I move that we approve I move that we approve.
Say I move for the approval of.
I move for the approval
Vape
of the
smoke.
administration to utilize vape smoking detectors for the estimated cost of $28,000 or $1,250 to $1,800 per detector.
Motion is made by Smith. Is there a second? It was seconded by Corcoran. Any questions on this motion? Okay, Ms. Greer, please call the roll.
Smith,
Yes.
Hoda,
Yes.
Lunkins,
Yes.
Copeland,
Yes.
Elvin,
Yes.
and Clark.
Yes.
Okay, that motion passes. We're on 13C, approval of Oakland County Mental Health Grant Initiatives. Keep in mind that these are, though I have no issue with them being passed tonight, these are information items, just reminding. Mr. Abdullah.
So we got awarded $375,000 from Oakland Schools. That will help us retain our district school nurse, and those of you that have had experience with her, she's phenomenal. What I'm telling you is she's phenomenal, and I get to use this grant funds to secure her employment. I don't have to use general fund. So to me, that's non-starter, but I had to also, again, that's the one piece, but then I also identified a social emotional learning teacher. So one thing that I identified is that we don't have a specials teacher that teaches the kids coping mechanisms and strategies. So what we're doing is, with the approval of one social emotional learning teacher, I could have them rotate and actually embed a special class in the lower L's where they would teach coping strategies, ways to affirmations, and then affirming one another. And what we're trying to do is transform how the kids interact with each other. We know that if we start early, that more will stick with them later. And if you see the kids, some of them are already exemplifying some of this, and we already started the conversations on how do we deal with what our core values are. If you notice here, it is in the board, one of the things you were looking for is a culture shift. The culture shift is not just one thing. It's actually the way kids look at each other, the way staff look at each other, the way staff interact with students, the way we interact with students. It's an entire system shift. And so the SEL teacher, the resource teacher, if we get approval, we will post it. So that's one. And then the reason why we're seeking 3, because Hero Circle really shared with me that they don't have any funds. The legislation basically undercut their whole thing when they went to Lansing. And so I said, Mr. Abdullah, we don't even have any resources for the karate senseis. I'm like, you don't have the karate? They're like, we don't have any. So this is an opportunity to bring karate senseis into the middle school, and it was a very popular thing. Again, that's one approach. Then we talked about Second Step, because it was popular in some elementaries, and when we talked about capturing kids' hearts. Really kids don't care about you or how much you know until they know that you care about them. If you saw how that kid hugged Miss North, you could tell that those kids are drawn to that. And they know, and I believe that if we lead with love and it's intentional, that we would get better results. The kids will perform better, and the end product will be what? Academic performance and a sense of belonging. We talked about the sense of belonging and the percentage of students that actually feel like they belong here. And our goal is to increase that. So you're seeing a whole slew of things, but again, everything is grant funded. Everything that I'm presenting to you is grant funded. It's not touching the general fund.
You said this includes.
Second step, Hero Circle, which includes the senseis, and capturing kids' hearts, and the school nurse,
And social emotional learning teacher.
and the social emotional learning teacher.
The nurse is not in.
Well, the nurse is not in there because she's already here, but what I'm doing is I'm taking it from general fund and paying her out of,
Okay, thank you.
relieving our weight from general fund.
Okay,
Yep.
any questions on this? Hearing none, okay. Go ahead, I was looking over this to make sure, go ahead.
Okay, well, I forgot already how to
I
make a
move.
motion. I move to make a motion.
The I move part is the motion, so I move that the
Yeah, I was
whatever.
about to start reading. Administration is seeking approval to invest up to $350,000 from the Oakland County Mental Health Grant currently rewarded to support the addition of the Social Emotional Learning Teachers, SEL. Estimated salary $70,000 plus benefits. In addition, funding has been set aside for a mental health curriculum, professional development, PD, for pre-K through fifth grade, in the amount of $125,000. A mental health curriculum PD, Hero Circle, is the amount of $75,000. A mental health curriculum PD, second step, in the amount of $35,000.
Okay,
Second.
motion made by Corcoran, seconded by Ms. Lunkins. Trustee Hoyt.
Is there, I understand this funding is primarily for the pre-K through 5. Are we, and I believe Hero Circle expanded into our.
K-8, yeah.
Into our K-8.
Yep.
Are we looking at social emotional learning in our secondary schools?
Yeah, so we're looking at it slightly a different approach. So we have to get them in smaller settings, smaller groups, and be intentional with restorative practices and things like that, where if you do social emotional in a lower L, they're more likely to participate. If you try to do that with a 10th grade group, there's a wall that goes up already. So what we're trying to do is create smaller learning circles and restorative practices circles at the high school. But we know the high school is in need of something, but it has to be something totally different where they're more likely to participate and engage in. So when I did it at K-12, I didn't get big outcomes and big results in high school. I didn't see a lot of participation in it, and I didn't see a lot of participation in middle school, and no matter how much we tried. But lower L's, it was full on, full adaptation, and everyone ate it and breathed it and lived it. And
I
so-
hope we are looking for
Absolutely.
successful models that have been implemented in secondary schools, because
Yeah, I absolutely.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor. Any other questions before you call the roll? Hearing none, Ms. Griffith, please call the roll.
Lunkins,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Alvin,
Yes.
Hoda,
yes.
and Corcoran.
Yes.
Okay, item 13D, approval for security biometric evolve and Zero Eyes, Mr. Abdullah.
So this one, basically, anyone that applies for it gets it. The deadline has come and gone. Of course, we applied for it. They told us to proceed because anyone that applies for it would get it. And it's based on your student population. So we applied for it. We will get awarded that money in January. We will get awarded that money, but it was clear cut. Any district that applies will get it. However, even when at the last day, there was millions of dollars left on the table. Millions of dollars of unspoken for money, which is ridiculous to me, but we did our part. And so Evolve is a different approach. So, and I'll send you the video, but Evolve, right now what our students have to do is they have to get in line and they have to go and have wands. And we have to search them. Now the wand does not, you could change the sensitivity of it a little bit, but it does not discriminate whether you have a cell phone, a laptop, or something. So it creates a bottleneck. Now Evolve removes all of that. You will see 2 pillars, nothing else, and the students just walk in as normal. They just walk in. They could walk in 6 at a time, 7 at a time, they just walk in. Now we have a wireless system there that as someone walks in, if it beeps, then our security will pull them aside. So the video that showed us is a individual walked in with a laptop, cell phone, iPad, no problem. Nothing, it didn't beep. They walked in with a rice pressure cooker, it beeped because the system spotted something that's different. And so, again, we could change the sensitivity on it, but it eliminates that bottleneck, and it doesn't make, it makes students feel safe without having it, having a feel of, I don't want to say prison, but it's
Unsafe.
yeah, I mean, you know what I mean? They just walk in as normal, and that's what we want to do is create the sense of normalcy, but letting the kids know, hey, we're still in control. We still know what's going on in our buildings. So that's Evolve. That's biometrics. I think Oxford has something similar. And then Zero Eyes is what you do once security is breached, and it uses all our cameras to identify. It just basically uses all our camera systems to spot anomalies. And this person has something. And it notifies police and it notifies us. Please secure Wing D. There's a threat in Wing D. So it uses our system. And both of them would be grant funding.
It's integrated into the system that we currently have.
Into our camera system. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Installed new cameras, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, sir.
Right. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Trustee Smith.
Yes, so right now, is there any additional costs associated with, support for these?
So you could lease it or you could buy it. I don't believe in leasing. I'd rather buy it, and there's not much difference if you see the quotes. There's a leasing quote. The problem with leasing, after 4 years, it's not yours.
Right.
So I'd rather just own it and knowing that it's ours and we could build on it. If we get more funding, we could build on it. But we check the different requirements of our cameras. Absolutely, no problem. You don't have to change your cameras. It syncs with it. And then it notifies not only police authority, but we have a hub. It notifies the police department, notifies Oakland County of that while we're still securing, that's Zero Eye, while we're still securing our building, we're getting assistance.
Yeah, this is something that as soon as I saw that this was coming into Oxford, I immediately sent that to you and said, like, can we do this? And I'm not saying I'm the catalyst at all for this, but I'm glad that this was something that we were able to implement. And moreover, it's something that is not coming from the general fund. So, not that that would have been a barrier to me, but, safety is paramount, but I'm glad that we can do it in a different way.
Yeah.
Trustee Hoyt.
So this is a movement from the previous strategy, which was using the dogs, and you explained to us that there were some concerns that associated with that. Where were those concerns coming from? Were they coming from students, from staff, from parents?
So the history of the usage of dogs, even in Detroit Metro, if you study the history and how dogs were used, and it instills fear. It instills fear, and and the approach is fear keeps them in line. So that's the dog detection, because a dog really just detects either drugs or gunpowder. But it's more of the response from the kid looking at a German Shepherd. Now, initially when I met with them, I said, look, maybe I might be open to it if you send us a more friendly looking like a dog, you know. But I met this dog, so I'm scared of him, and I'm a dog lover. Don't get me wrong. I said, hey, you know, he's like, I could get you a golden lab. I said, oh, golden lab looks friendly, and it does the same thing, yet have not changed. So I don't believe in it personally. I don't believe in it based on the history. I don't need, you know, I mean, if it's dark outside, I don't need to send out a survey saying, do you think the sky is dark outside? Because I know the history. I've studied the history of how dogs were used. I'm not a proponent of it. I think there's different approaches. I want to create an environment where kids could be kids, and with a dog, when they do get the dog in, whether kids tell you or not, there's a fear there because they get in line. So, you know, anytime you get the dog in, whether it's spoken or not, there's a fear there with the kids. So, you know, do I have research-based data? No, I just have my personal experience on that and the research on history. But do I have personal data research? I don't.
Trustee Smith.
No.
Nothing?
No. Okay, 'cause, yeah.
The expectation is this will, we would use this money in January, is that right?
We're planning it now because it's a 6-week lead time. So if you approve it, we could get the quotes, we could get the ball rolling. Again, I'll report out when we do get the funds, and I'll let you know, hey, the funds are in.
All right, Trustee Smith.
Okay. I move to approve the Oak Park School District's admin's request to secure the security biometric Evolve detectors and Zero Eyes camera integration system, all to be paid with the grant funding approved by MDEA PA 144 funding. The total amount we are working with is $2,300,000 in grant funding over a 4-year period.
That's for all of them?
Yes.
Okay. Motion made by Smith, is there a second?
Second.
Motion seconded by Lunkins. Any questions on the motion? Ms. Greer, please call the roll.
Lunkins,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lunkins, I'm sorry, what did I miss?
I mean, I answered.
Holder,
Yes.
Compton,
Yes.
and Albert.
Yes, motion passes. On to item 14, which is communications. Are there any communications from members of the administration? For members of the board? Trustee Hueda.
I attended the Oakland County School Board Association's Government Relations Committee meeting a couple weeks ago. The Government Relations Committee, there was a lot of discussion about the upcoming election, which that discussion is now moot because we have results of the upcoming election, which were different from what was discussed in that meeting. But they are working on, or we are working on setting legislative goals for this year. I asked for some changes to the way the legislative goals were, and that will be discussed as we move forward in that process. I'll share that. It was, some of the language I felt was less reflective of the full diversity of Oakland County, and hopefully that will be under discussion. There is the National School Board Association's legislative conference is going to be the last week of January in Washington, D.C., and so any board members who would be interested in attending or
What group is that? What group is that?
That's so every year the National School Board Association holds they have a different word for it, but it's basically a legislative advocacy conference in Washington, D.C. They go Sunday and Monday. So Saturday I think there's a special session for that about diversity. Then Sunday and Monday they talk about developing legislative advocacy skills, and then Tuesday they go up to the Hill and meet with senators and congressmen. Traditionally, Wednesday, Oakland County stays an extra day and either goes to an embassy and learn about education in another country, or they go to the education department and meet with the administrators there. That is the last week in January, and it's open for any board members that would like to attend.
How was that funded?
What?
How was that?
That would be the district.
The district would.
The district would.
Okay, well.
The board would decide whether the district will pay for it, I should say.
Thank you, trustee Hoyda. Is that it?
That's it.
I have one, I see your hand, but I'm gonna do this before I call on you. Speaking of the election, congratulations to our very own trustee Claudette Lunkins, who was reelected to the Oak Park School Board. Congratulations also to Miss Paige Madison on her election to the school board. I'm sure we will hear from her soon. So since we're on trustee Lunkins, trustee Lunkins.
I just wanted to say, Mr. Smith called me to wish me congratulations. He's the only one that called me, but I did get a call from you, and Mr. Holder congratulated me today too. But I hope to pay more attention and do more this year than I did last year. But I'm enjoying it, and I'm going to continue to enjoy it as long as I can enjoy it, and I can see these kids move. I'm gonna be right there with them.
Thank you,
But
congratulations
thanks,
again.
everybody, even the public, thank you. And to realize how many votes I had until Mr. Angel told me how many votes it was, but like I said, I don't take anything for granted. No.
It's like 4,700 votes.
Yeah.
I take, all I did was put my name out there, I don't take it for granted. You should have seen me something like, yeah, wonder if I'm going to sleep or not.
Got you. Anything else, trustee Smith, did you have something?
No.
No? Just clear. Okay. I have one other one. Once again, we heard from Mr. Shannon Smith of Square One Strategy at our August 22nd meeting relative to holding a board retreat. I know the will of the board is to hold a retreat. I've been thinking about this a lot, and then we just had an election, so would like to get the board that's going to be here, the full board, and then go forth with a retreat once we get into January, if the board is okay with that. Trustee Smith?
Yeah, I do want to say this, and this is off the results of the election. Ms. Sandra Clark, I hope that.
You got to.
I hope that you stay within the district and you maintain those leadership qualities in line with, say, for example, things that we have in the school district here. I'd hate to lose you in that aspect here. I want to thank you for stepping up to the plate and being a consummate team player. So I'm looking forward to working with you at another capacity in this school district here.
She's still here another month.
Right.
I'm still
Right.
here.
All right, just
Can I
so you
say
know.
goodbyes in
No,
December?
no goodbye.
Can I say
Just plan accordingly.
when I come back, maybe? When
Yeah.
It's a see you,
see
it's
you
a
later.
see you later,
See you later in
until you
December.
run to be a board member and then be on.
Would you like me to say something
Stay
now?
strong.
Or
No,
would you like
not
to
yet.
do it?
I'm just
it's
letting you know
never-
that
it's
it's
never
not
goodbye.
over.
It's a see you later.
Yes,
I
well,
will see you later in December.
we have a whole other month. She's not gone yet. All right.
Take my nameplate.
Oh, you can have your name.
I can have my name? Okay, cool.
Anything else from members of the board? Trustee Smith, next meeting?
Yes. The next meeting of the Board of Education will be held on Monday, November 28th, 2022 at 7 o'clock p.m. in the boardroom in the administration building.
Thank you very much. If nothing else,
Make a motion to adjourn.
the time is 9 o'clock. Since there is, I assume there's no objection to adjourning the meeting by unanimous consent, hearing none, we are adjourned at 9. Thank you.